why your subconscious mind blocks your visibility, even when you want that visibility. This is going to be kind of the topic of the month. And the very persons who inspire me to share with you more of the beautiful work that we do in our community is actually my clients. And I want to share with you like key elements that maybe you're like booming, like knocking your head against the wall. Like, why is it not working? Why am I always struggling with posting? Why when I post, it doesn't sell? Or all those questions that I hear all the time. So for me, it's very important to be very true to myself and transparent with you. And this year, my word is cozy. So during this series, I'm going to show you what I do. I put a candle, and then I have my diffuser on, and then I have a little cushion below my feet that I could show you. Let me show you. Right? And I brought my angel cards because this is how fun is for me. And I want to show you more of what I have fun with. And if you've read my book, my very big surprise, I don't know why we think that because we're businesswomen, we have to be so serious and buy the book. So the very first $25,000 that I invested in a mastermind, we went on a retreat to Mexico, and it was my first experience, right? And then the first thing we did was to draw oracle cards, and I'm like, what? And then after that, I got exposed to this, and I love it so much. It's been like, that was 2019, right? So I decided that I would open this series with reading for you an angel guide. And here's the game. Before we talk about your subconscious mind and how it really impacts your visibility and your sales. And I'm going to reverse engineer a very, very specific, concrete example of, when you start posting, what happens, right? And why you stop posting, or you're posting, but it doesn't feel aligned. Or maybe when you put, where it's time to raise your prices, put an offer together, reach out to people, all of these things gonna come up for you. And it's not because you don't know how to do it, because you have the wrong strategy. It's because of what we call in my world, your elephant. When you know that your subconscious mind holds 95% of everything you do and only 5% is conscious, like, don't even wonder why you're not doing the things the way you want to do it, right? So we're going to debug that, and I'm going to show you how it shows up in actually when you build content, when you build offers, when you start offering your new offers, when you start DMing people, right? So I'll show you a very concrete example, and I'm going to invite you to put in place some nano actions that will help you kind of wire the way you approach your marketing and your sales. When I say your marketing is to promote what you sell, how you help people with your services, and sales process are everything around how you sell. How do you go from a post to a sale, right? But first, let's draw and I want you to pay attention. I'm going to draw a card, and when I'm going to read it, I want you to bring to your mind's eye that this card is meant for you, okay? Not for me, not for like a random person. It is for you. And I want you to bring that into your business. Okay, let's have fun. Ding, ding, ding. Here we go. So I'm gonna go through those ones. I trust my cards. Oh, here we go. We have 2, 3. So now I'm just gonna go with the last 3. Okay, first one goes down. Oh, no, I thought it was going down. It's not. They're alive. They're jumping in my hands. And I could read 3, but I want 1. Okay. Maybe if you tell me in the comments, stop, and I'll stop shuffling the cards. Do I see the comments? I see them on Instagram. Do I see them? Unless there is one. Here we go. That's the one. Look at this. Healing energy. Oh, let's go with this. So remember, take it for you, take it for yourself, take it as the woman in the business. This woman, all of you, are the spokesperson for your business. You birth the business. You're not your business, but you are the one that moves the needle for the business. So there is parts of you that requires healing, and we cannot let our healing stop ourselves, right? So I'm going to read this. Healing energy. Remember, it's for you, not for me, okay? So angels are enveloping you in healing energy at this time. They are swirling around you, filling your body, mind, and soul with a soothing and peaceful light. They are guiding you to receive this healing energy and allow your body time to return to its natural state of goodness. Healing is actually an energy that goes beyond the body. It's the return to a natural and good state. Healing angels are placing their hands upon you and any situation that may be concerning you at this time. Know that the miracles you are seeking are unfolding before your eyes. You are blessed to receive this card today. Look at, I should show you what it looks like. You see Instagram? You are blessed to receive this card today because the energy it brings will mend any breakage, wounds, or emotionally raw situations that are troubling your heart. So it could be in your business, in your team, right? In your personal relationship. Because listen to me, I speak by experience after, is that 15 years in business altogether? How you handle your personal relationships, especially with loved ones, has a direct effect on how you run your business, how you approach clients, how you serve them, how you put boundaries with your clients, with your team, right? So don't separate those two words, okay? And then the extended message for this is, if anything in your life is broken or disrupted, this card indicates that healing energy is being brought to it. Your angels want you to know that any prayers or calls for help and support you have sent out have been received, and that they are working on the case now. So you are guided to visualize the best and most loving outcome possible in all areas of your life. See angels of light placing their hands upon anything that may be of concern, and know that when you do this, you allow healing energy to unfold in the present moment. So here we go. So that was, I love pulling cards for myself, and I wanted to pull them for you today because I want you to bring your attention to your loving business. You've built that business from a place of, building freedom for yourself, helping people, changing the world. So how can this help you in your business today? So I'm going to leave it to that. And if you have anything that you want to share with me on how this card really hit you, let me know. I love communicating with you. So let's go back to how and why your subconscious mind actually blocks your visibility, that very visibility that you say you want, right? You want to be visible because you want people to know about your business. You want people to reach out to you and say, hey, I want what you have for me. And they also want to be visible because when you are visible as well in the way you interact with clients, how you set up your prices, how you present your offers, and how you show up on social media. So visibility is everything. It's not just posting to post, but I want to show you so that it can give you kind of an idea. Number one, we're going to start with kind of what is the conscious mind versus the subconscious mind. So the subconscious mind count for about 95% of our mind, and 5% is the conscious mind. So everything that you are very conscious about, The rest is already pre-recorded, and it's kind of the effect of, when you go from one point. So for me, I used to go downtown all the time every morning. So now I go to CrossFit every other morning, and it's really close to my house. So many times I pass the road because my mind knows that it goes to the other point. So I need to literally rewire my brain so that I stop to that road. So that's kind of what it does. So everything around, what you believe is stored in your subconscious mind. Everything around your emotional reactions is in your subconscious mind. Your identity, the identity that you married with when you were born and as you grew up, is in your subconscious mind. Your self-worth, everything that the way you see yourself and what you deserve or not, that's in your subconscious mind. And all those things, all the habits, all those things are things that were built inside of you as you grew up. Most of the time, our childhood, the culture we were raised in, or maybe you had some event that happened to you, that day that it happened, you started to see the world in a new way, and you made it mean something about you made it mean about what humans are about, what the world is about, and then you started to build that your own world through that lens, which often, and this is where I want you to listen to me, and this is where we're going to reverse engineer. You're going to see where I'm going with this. This is not fluff. It is actually in your everyday life, okay? Especially when it's time to become visible and post your post, for example, right? So you kind of build an identity that protects you from going back to those moments where you were not feeling safe. And we have an amazing body nervous system that remembers everything, especially in our childhood. Apparently, even when you're in the wombs of your mom, you already record everything, right? And you don't make sense of anything, you just record. And then as time goes, you have your own definition of what's safe or not safe. It doesn't mean that it's true or not true, right? But then what happens is that you start to build behaviors around how you are visible. So many times, for example, my clients, when we go there, we do a lot of work with our inner child. So that's why I always have my little girl with me here. I don't know if you can see, right? There are things that, so for me, I always share, that story when we do that exercise. It's called the inner child release. That brought me back the very first time to that when I was 3 and I was in France. And in France, you go to school at 3, right? And I remember that I pooped in my pants. And I remember like the shame and guilt and how I felt less than nothing that day. And I didn't want to let anybody know, except that when you poop, it stinks, right? So I was discovered very rapidly. And so that added to shame and guilt. And I was the tallest always been the tallest in the room, right? So it was it's nothing in terms of, little kids poop in their pants. Yeah. But for me, from the inside, I made it mean so much things that when I did that exercise for the first time, it was in a business context, and it brought me there. I'm like, what is that? Like, what is the relation between what happened in my childhood that was so benign, and how my subconscious mind directly brought it back to me, something I forgot, right? So it was so interesting. So this is when I started to do this work and become a practitioner, actually, of traumas informed practices that help women entrepreneurs to see the very first time that they felt less than nothing. And usually when you go back to those moments, you can release that. But more importantly, it helps you to kind of uncover why you put a shell on you with so many adaptive behavior, right? So for me, I was someone who wanted to always be hyper independent, right? So hyper independence is a sign of an adaptive behavior that is actually hiding a limiting belief, right? So this is why when you go through those kind of introspection, you can see that what I was for a long time, until 6 years ago, I was strongly believing that I was the one who could make sure that everybody was happy, so that I had to control everything so that everybody's happy and nothing's come down. And then I did some work on this, and I'm going to tell you where it draw me back. It's not you don't go back in the past to dwell on the past or relive anything, but you cannot ignore what shaped you, which the impact is. Here's the impact when you're a woman entrepreneur. If you are hyper independent or perfectionist, you're gonna make sure that when it's time to write a post and post it, that it's perfect. So because perfection doesn't exist, it is never perfect, so it is never a post and it is never posted, right? Or if you're hyper independent, you're gonna push so hard on yourself and you're gonna, yes, post it, but it's gonna be so heavy and draining, right? And that was me. And I see that in many of the women entrepreneurs who work with us. Perfectionism is such a number one signal that there is something, it's a sign of unworthiness. Because when you want something to be perfect, number one, you never reach it, because perfection it's never enough, right? And so it's never perfect. So it's either you never post, or when you post, you're unhappy about it. You're like, oh, I hope not everybody's going to read this, and you're very attached to see the engagement. Do they like it? Do they not? And then you make it mean something about you, right? And then so what I have in those notes here the message that I want to convey to you is that each time that you see yourself resisting to post because either you don't know what to post, which is resistance, you know exactly what you do in this life, and you exactly know, when I talk to you like in confidence, you know exactly why you do what you do and who you want to help and how exciting it is to work with you, right? So that day you want to post, you don't know what to post, or you're looking to be such a great post so that you get validation. So when you start to believe or to recognize that you believe that everything you do in your life, including posting in the context of a business, is to get validation, then you reverse engineer that. When you look for validation, it's somewhere in your subconscious mind, there is a belief that says that you're never enough. The only way to validate who you are is to have others saying, oh, good girl, oh, yay, right? Yay. You're waiting for external circumstances to validate what you are driving from your heart. So this is why a lot of the women entrepreneurs that I work with, including me, we're high achiever. And when we say that, it's because we want to be the girl good at school, right? High, best note, best mark, best schools. That was me. I did all the best things in my first part of my life, and then it was by the book, check the list. But I realized that my soul was craving for something truer, right? More me, less validation oriented, right? So the more you achieve and the more love you receive, that might be something that if you look back, in your life, especially some of you who had good marks at school, was it for you? Or was it because you had to prove something to someone, your parents or your sister or whatever, right? And that behavior led you to be perfectionist in everything you do, even when you bake a cake, right? Or when you write a post, or when you're about to launch a new offer, and then you always look for validation. So if you're waiting for everybody else to say how good your offer is, how amazing you are, and how you serve your clients, then we wait and wait and wait, and we make it mean something about ourselves, and we don't show up, we don't sell, we don't post, we don't talk to people about what we do. And at the end of the day, you are losing your trust in yourself. You are proving to yourself that nothing works, and you're shrinking. So in the nano things that I'm going to give you today, I'm going to give you a few questions, and I would love for you to take the time to look at it from a non-judgmental way, right? That's very, very key, okay? I want you to ask yourself, so do you recall a time in your childhood? A lot of this happens like very early. Like, I don't know, I've been doing this work a lot, and now I go to my 20s, but when I first started, it was going back to childhood. It doesn't mean that you have to be like a tiny kid. It could be a teenager. Is there any time in your childhood where you felt less than nothing? Again, don't judge it. Don't relive it. Just be aware of it. And you can actually write down on this. And then what you can do, so that's my first little nuggets. I want you to, from that day that it felt so unsafe, maybe someone laughed at you. That could be, it doesn't have to be a huge dramatic thing. When we are kids, there are small things that have a huge impact that keeps on going and is stronger and stronger when you get to 40, 50, and 60. That's why we do this inner work, not because we're like, oh, poor you, this happened to you. No, it's okay. I totally shaped who I am, my identity on that past, that day that I felt less than nothing. And I don't want your body, your nervous system is seeing every danger around. Each time there is a signal that reminds you of what happened. It could be a smell, it could be a word that someone says, it could be a situation, a landscape, like our subconscious mind has everything filed, right? So this is very important, because from that, you're going to be able to see what did that situation taught you about the world and about who you are. And that is very important, because from that day, you started to change the way you behave. You started the way you change how you ask for money to your parents. You started to change the way you dressed. That was me. You started to change things so that you would fit, right? And you would not be rejected. So once you have that in your notebook, I want you to be very honest with yourself and see how much from that, what type of behavior did you behavior did you put in place? Did you start, to be a people pleaser? Did you start to, that's a big one, right? We want to people please. Or as I said at the beginning, perfectionism is another adaptive behavior. And also, for me, it was, one of them was binge eating, right? So any addictions is an adaptive behavior to keep you safe, not to hear too much or what's need to be said, right? So I was a bulimic for decades. And if you're interested to learn how business helped me get out of bulimia, I wrote my first book about this. And it's funny because you don't know until you know. And once you learn how the subconscious mind works, and that your personal stuff have a direct impact on your business, whether you want to believe it or not, everything you say, you do has a trauma-informed flavor. And trauma doesn't have to be a dramatic thing, okay? It's something happened and then your body remembers how you felt that day, and there is no way you want to feel that again. So you're going to do and put in place everything possible, including being perfect or people pleaser, so that you are never in that situation again. So when it's time to DM someone to say, hey, I have a retreat coming up in Moncton, January 16th, and believing inside of you that this retreat is life-changing, and my role as an online visibility strategist is to help women amplify their voices online and offline, and that event is part of that. I would have never been that person. Right now, like I'm reaching out to all the women I know to tell them to come if they feel that they want to come, right? Me before would have been like, am I gonna bother them? So people pleasing, you know. If I don't want to bother people, I don't write to them because I want to make sure that I'm not offending them, that I'm not sleazy. Like all those stories are coming from what we discussed earlier. Okay. It doesn't come from the money. It comes from those beliefs that are running the show in your subconscious mind. Remember, 95% of everything you say, do, feel, behave is coming from your unconscious mind, subconscious mind. So on the day that you decide that you're done with being this, and then 3 days after, it's you're frustrated because it doesn't work, especially right now in the season, in January, where everybody has their intention and plans. You cannot change just because you say it, because remember, it's only 5% of your mind. You literally have to dig and uncover what are your current beliefs, what are your current behavior. That, I think it's Tony Robbins that always say that. Discover the pattern. When someone hits you with a word, what is your direct pattern? And, most of the arguments in couples or with friends has nothing to do with the couples or the friend. It comes from the subconscious mind. So you cannot change that until you are aware of it. This is why, in the work of sales and marketing, we start with that part. Otherwise, I'm going to give you the best strategy to build your business, build your offer. And then the day that it's time to go for it, you're like, but that's not good enough. Or I'm going to bother people with this. Or I cannot repeat that in my post, right? And that has nothing to do with marketing. It has to do with what you believe at the core of you. So that's our first episode on why your subconscious mind blocks your visibility, even when you want. And you do everything. You hire the coach, you listen to all the podcasts, read all the books and all the things, and it still doesn't move the needle. Right? It's because of that. So I wanted to kind of set up the table. If this is coming and kind of stirring some stuff for you, and I grab your attention, you might enjoy to hear my TEDx. As an online visibility strategist, I myself create opportunities to be more visible so that I can, really share my message. I've been running Social Media Love, which is a visibility consulting training company, for at least almost 15 years. And my mission is to amplify your voices online and offline. And I would say, from one post, one video, one belief at a time. That's a key, the belief, right? And I realized this, that my mission is beyond the marketing and stuff. It's really about healing generations of silence, separation, and self-doubt. And I've been watching a lot of series and movies right now about famous historic figures in the business world, a female business world. And there is no question why we are so limited in terms of our belief, because we're coming from a long time. Like, we are witches to so many cultures because we work with our intuition. And the thing is that we've learned to not trust our intuition because we were literally suppressed, and some were killed because of that. So we need to heal all those parts of what it is to be a woman who works, who is the face of what she believes in, what she does in her business, and how she helps people to feel better, to improve certain areas of their world. We have to heal that part of us, and that is not fluff, right? So this is why we do this, and I created the Visible Method so that I can help you not only, from the very marketing and sales processes, but how can you help yourself never stop anymore to grow your business? That's really the key. So if that's something that you want to kind of go deeper on, you can put TEDx in the comments and I'll send you my TEDx, okay? You put TEDx in the comments and I'll send you my TEDx so that you can see I go even deeper, because I really believe that our childhood trauma are at the core of what's limiting us in all the things that we say we want to do, we want to be, and we want to put in place. So it's either you go the hard way, which leads to burnout, or it's you choose to dance with your fears and learn more about how the mind works, how your nervous system works, so that you don't have to push anymore. Your presence become the marketing. Your presence become the truth to whoever needs to hear your truth, right? So I hope it inspires you, but beyond inspiring, I want you to answer those questions that I said earlier. Can you recall the very first time that you felt less than nothing? And from that day, without reliving it, from that day, how did you start perceive yourself? Perceive what did you make the world mean about you, about people? And what pattern or adaptive behavior did you start to develop that leads you, the woman who's 40, 50, 60, 70, to be perfectionist, to be people pleasing, to be binging like I was, or maybe hyper independent? That was me too. So I'm going to leave you on that. And once you have this identified, I want you to look at how this very, very pattern is happening currently in your business, in the way you show up online, in the way you are consistent or not with either email marketing, if you do email, or you're posting, or going to a networking event, or going to the gym. The way you are in one place is the same way in every other place, right? Are you someone who is ghosting when people send you emails and they follow up with you and you're like judging them for daring to follow up with you, right? So just pay attention. Don't judge. That's the only thing I'm going to ask you. Never judge yourself, because you're here to uncover like the show that is running in your subconscious mind. Okay, on that note, I'm going to close this show. That's episode number 1. And if you don't know me, I'm Angelique Binet. I'm the founder of Social Media Love, and I help women entrepreneurs to build their digital footprint online and offline so that someone can discover them and become their client. So we do that through training, coaching, and mind and body work. Because if you don't bring your body, your nervous system with you when you do a live like this, right? Then you won't do the live. That's as simple as this. Okay. So if you're interested to learn more about my approach to visibility and marketing, ask me for my TEDx. Just put comment TEDx and I'll reach out to you to connect you with my TEDx. Okay. Now, ciao, ciao. And see you next week.